breaking down our latest mock draft that I was a part of over at Bleacher Report. Travis Hunter, cornerback, wide receiver, athlete, goes first overall. We're going to talk about that pick and many more coming up next.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Locked On family? Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. You can find and follow me on X at DP_NFL. I'm a senior draft analyst, and thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout for being out every day. And you know I got to kick the intro to Mr. LSU, Keith Sanchez. You can find and follow him on X at The Talent Code. Keep talk to him, baby.
What's up, Locked On family? Let's get locked in. This is Keith Sanchez, 2019 national champ, man, and the other side to this dynamic duo that we like to call the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, where we bring you championship level content each and every single podcast. I want to start this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. Every listen is greatly appreciated here over at Locked On NFL Draft DP. We have a mock draft review, right? A mock draft that you participated in over at Bleacher Report, man. We have Travis Hunter, right? He's going first overall. To whom? We're going to talk about that. The Colts add another playmaker to this defense. Yes, and then the Jets, they draft their quarterback of the future. Yes, Jets, Jets. We get to figure out who they're drafting at quarterback. DP, let's get into this mock draft.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Participated, first mock a couple weeks ago, Keith, over at Bleacher Report. And one of the biggest takeaways during our discussion over there was like, who goes first overall? And we picked the court art right now as the best prospect in the 2025 NFL Draft, Travis Hunter. And he went number 1 overall to the Denver Broncos. And we kept it simple, cornerback / wide receiver. We didn't put a specific position. They could use both right now. You know what I mean? He could be a very big help to Bo Nix on the offensive side of the ball, who has not looked great through the first 2 weeks of his rookie campaign and everything, which we talked about it, right? Like that was one of the most undesirable quarterback landing spots in all of the 2024 NFL Draft because of the fact that they didn't have any receivers. You shipped off or let Jerry Jeudy go. I'm be honest with you, I think Cortland Sutton might not be there past the trade deadline. I'm pretty sure he's gonna get frustrated. I think he only had two targets on Sundays, or 3 targets on Sunday or something like that, 3 catches. But putting Travis Hunter either on this defense, you think about you just paid Patrick Surtain II, right? So you just kicked out $24 million guaranteed per year to him, 79.5 I think guaranteed. If you're drafting Travis as a corner, he's playing so you're talking about having to deal with I'm about to say Tyreek Hill. No, Xavier Worthy. I don't even want to put that on Xavier, but Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, right over there in Kansas City. You got to deal with our guys. Shout out to QJ for, the game he had on Sunday, 5 catches, 2 touchdowns. He looks like, he's improving and getting that trust with Justin Herbert. You got to deal with him and Ladd McConkey with the Chargers. We'll see if Devontae Adams is still in with the Raiders, right? Him and Jacoby Myers and Brock Bowers. So, you do need some cornerback help. So one of the biggest takeaways was putting Travis Hunter at 1 because, truthfully, he can help this team on both sides of the ball. Just depend on where you want to play him and where he wants to declare.
I have a question. Did he go number 1, DP? Was it specific to the Denver Broncos, or do you think if the Carolina Panthers were picking number 1, or if the Patriots were picking number 1, or I'm not gonna say the New York Giants because they have a glaring need at quarterback, but the Titans, right? Like, so let's say if it was the Titans, the Patriots, or the Panthers picking at number 1, do you think from the discussion that y'all had that he would have still went number 1 overall?
I don't think so. Even though he's our top and highest graded prospect right now, I don't think so, right? Because I think, and you hate to see it right now, like the situation in Carolina. We don't know what we don't know who's going to be coaching. in 2025. We don't know who the GM's going to be. We don't know what anything is going to look like because it just looks like a tumultuous mess over there right now. It's really, really bad in Carolina. And of course, like you said, the Giants, no, they got a glaring need at quarterback, right? And even some of like the Patriots, I think the Patriots is a conversation, but it's a simple fact that they need a left tackle. So it's like, in this mock, we end up giving them Will Campbell, from LSU. It's like, okay, get Drake May. And I think the offensive line has been solid through 2 weeks, but left tackle is still a glaring need for them. So I think positional value would tap in there. But yeah, I think, still Travis Hunter would be a great fit for them, especially more so offensively, because we saw Jalen Polk had his first career touchdown, in the game in week 2, right? He got his first touchdown from Jacoby Brissett, I'm sorry. And they have some young playmakers, but man, you think about putting Travis Hunter with Javon Baker, with Jalen Polk. Now you got yourself just a mixed bag of athletes, alignment, versatile guys that Drake, and with the big arm that Drake May has, and then Ramondre Stevenson running the ball the way he can. They want to be physical, that play action pass, and yeah, you could do a lot of different things if you were to draft a Travis Hunter. I think it would be tough to sell your fan base. Hey, we're going to take, even though he's the best player on our board, like he doesn't help protect the quarterback where we clearly have a glaring need at protecting the quarterback. I think that's where it would be a little bit situational.
Okay. So looking at the rest of this mock draft, one pick DP that I definitely like. I'm looking at the Saints, right? And especially them coming off of a big time win against the Dallas Cowboys, them getting edge rusher Mykel Williams. I think this is what the Saints have been wanting as far as somebody they can mold and grow and develop right into a high level pass rusher. And we know they've taken swings on. We've talked about it on this podcast, right? Peyton Turner, Marcus Davenport, and even as recently as Isaiah Foskey, right? Who I don't know if he's injured right now, if he's just not playing or making a great impact, right? But that's 3 high, I guess, draft capital picks, right? That you spent on edge rushers to try to find a successor to Cam Jordan, and you haven't found it, right? So you spent probably the last 7 years trying to figure that out, and you just haven't figured it out. But I think DP, from based off of Mykel Williams and what he does, he can be that guy, right? Like he's the guy that has the opportunity to actually grow and develop into a high level pass rusher.
Especially opposite of, well, it depends. If they've re-signed Chase Young, right? Like, cause from watching just the live games, he looked like he's creating pressure. He's getting in the backfield. He's like showcasing his worth. So if you're able to, let's say, ink him to a team friendly deal, he gets paid. And now you have him, you still have Cam Jordan, and you add a Mykel Williams to the situation, like, yeah, like, like if you're Baker Mayfield, you're like, all right, man, like I don't really got time for this. I don't. If you're Kirk Cousins, you're like, all right, I got coming off the Achilles, I'm not the most mobile guy as it is. Offensive line's a little shaky, things like that. I think that would be a great way, like especially for a team right now that is winning. They're 2-0, and they look good doing it, especially what they were able to do against Dallas. So I think, putting Mykel on that defensive line will probably give him the best D line they've had in some time.
Yeah, I agree. And DP, one other pick, man, that popped off to me was Luther Burden going to the Tennessee Titans. We're going to have to see, though, right? Because at this point, they may be picking a quarterback, DP, in the 2025 NFL draft.
When your coach looks at you coming to the sideline and say, what the bleep are you doing? Yeah, we have to have some discussions in the quarterback room.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk about this, man, at the Locked On NFL Draft podcast, because the Tennessee Titans might be picking a quarterback real soon. But DP, let's keep this thing going and flowing. And what's coming up next, man? We have picks 11 through 20 coming up next.
When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. Also, on LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. So hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Guys, LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Gametime has a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Gametime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I promise you, it's a headache, guys. You don't want to have to search through all those tickets to find the value and the seats. If you're at a family of 4 or 5 and you're trying to find those seats that are consecutive, Gametime Picks can take out and remove a lot of that fluff. Also, Gametime has seat views, so you know exactly which or what vantage points you're going to have from whatever seats you're looking to buy. They have lowest price guarantee, event cancellation, and job loss protection as well. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? It's game time. Guys, one of the bigger takeaways from truthfully, from 2 weeks of the NFL season is how bad the Indianapolis Colts defense has looked. And it's looked bad in areas we didn't expect it to look bad in. Run defense, like they can't stop the run. They couldn't stop it against Joe Mixon, who looked like he was the rookie version of Joe Mixon in week 1. Josh Jacobs turned back the hands of time, and he 30 carries, $150, and that run game was dominant, against them, week 2 in the loss to Green Bay. But one of the things we knew was going to be a problem, Keith, was the secondary. They lose Juju Brents for the season. And when this discussion was made for Malachi Starks to be the new safety for the Indianapolis Colts, it was simply, okay, we got to give the secondary some help, right? And he is the second highest graded defensive back. For me, it was, and I don't get me wrong, I agree with it. Like Will Johnson, depends on what Travis does, right? Whatever Hunter does, if he stays at corner, then I'll probably view him as like the CB2 for me. In that CB2, CB3 range with Benjamin Morrison, but Malachi Starks is an absolute like game wrecker, right? The coverage ability, the physicality, the athleticism, like the fact that he has the exact same interception from different years on different sides of the field in week 1 is just crazy. The one he did against Bo Nix as a freshman, and the one week 1 against Cade Klubnik, it was almost an identical interception, and so putting him at safety, I think would help this secondary a lot. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But their cornerback situation is so volatile right now. And when you look at what Houston is trotting out on the field, not even considering the fact that John Mechie's been a scratch, they barely playing Xavier Hutchinson because they don't have to, because those 2 young players, they don't even need to play right now, Keith. When you walk out there with Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs, and Nico Collins, like, and you don't have an answer for that. Like, you don't really have a man-to-man answer for that. I don't know if Malachi Starks, I don't know if he's going to be I feel like he's going to be more of a Band-Aid to the situation rather than stitches. Because, you stitch up a hole, it heals, and it's fine. The Band-Aid is going to come off. And now you got they got that same injury still kind of open and glaring. And I think that's where I feel like corner could have still been in consideration. But Starks was the best DB. So, I mean, it makes sense in a sense.
Yeah, I'm with that. I'll tell you the next 2 picks, right? Pick 13 and pick 14. I really like. Pick 13, Seattle Seahawks, Teodoro McMillan. My wide receiver 1, right? I think is your wide receiver 1. Also,
yes, sir,
goes to the Seattle Seahawks. I like this a lot because this is a transition to this how I look at it, right? A transition to him from DK Metcalf at some point, right? And it gives you another big body vertical threat, a guy that plays above the rim, tough, physical, can play X, can play slot, can play Z, right? Just a movement piece. And then also, I mean, hey, if you decide not to, you have 2 aging wide receivers in Seattle, right? You have DK and you also have Tyler Lockett. So maybe if that's not the case, you keep DK on the outside and then put Teodoro McMillan at the Z or the slot and move him and Jackson Smith and Jigba around, but you keep a young, dynamic wide receiver core. And then I always say this, right? The veteran needs to pass the baton to the young guy, right? Give them 1 year together and then be able to transition. And then the next one, DP, I might be wrong, but this feels like a U pick. The Los Angeles Chargers drafting Colston Loveland. Really like that selection. I think that just adds another dynamic element, a tight end that could block, big 6'6", 250, 260, can move well, can play flex tight end, can play outside. There's nothing he can't do. And then he's just another big target for Justin Herbert. And by the way, our guy Quentin Johnston had a good game last week, this past Sunday. So, just had to give him a shout out. He kind of looked like a good wide receiver, right?
Got to double down on that, right? You know what I mean? Give him a shot. I gave him the shot at the beginning. We give him a shot in the middle of the show. 100%. QJ looked like the guy we thought he would look like, right? And that touchdown against JC Horn where he just pulled away, and it's just like the speed, the stride, everything just looked easy for him. So yes, this was a DP pick. I was consulted on this pick for the Chargers, and that it was simple. The question was, does Colston Loveland block well enough in this offense? Someone asked, and I was like, yeah, he played for Harbaugh. He was their starting tight end for Harbaugh, 100%. And like you put him in this offense with like that becomes your top three weapons. And if you're Justin Herbert, you feel really good about that. To walk out of the huddle, you got Ladd McConkey in the slot. You got Quentin Johnston excelling at the X, and you have a tight end that can play in line, in the slot, or out wide against corners, safeties, and linebackers, and Colston Loveland. And the resurgence of J.K. Dobbins in this run game has been outstanding. We're bringing in Greg Roman. Now we got to see if Greg Roman doesn't fall into Greg Roman history of, okay, year two, the scheme is very predictable. You know what to do. You know how to defend it. Can he alter it now without having that running quarterback like he had with Cap and Tyrod Taylor and and Lamar Jackson, with his passing concepts just evolving? But yeah, putting Colston Loveland in this particular offense, man, I think that's where you solidify. I think Hunter Henry is their tight end right now. He had himself a good game. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. And, he's a little bit older. I think he's 28, 29, somewhere in there. He's been in the league for a little bit. He knows how to get it done. But yeah, I think for me, man, and I would even try to keep Hunter Henry as that vet voice in the room with a Colston Loveland, right? To kind of teach him how to handle different things at the pro football level and the NFL level until he gets, kind of use him like Zach Ertz with Trey McBride, and just use him as that older voice in the room. But yeah, this was definitely a pick that I signed off on. I was like, yeah, put him there. Don't get me wrong. The Colts was a situation where I wanted to pound the table for him. Like, yeah, give A-Rich this big target. But I was like, you know what? What the Colts are doing right now, it's the same thing they did to Andrew Luck. They're putting everything on the guy under center and not giving them enough help. Not so much offensively, but this time it's defensively to be able to keep the opposing offense off the field, take the ball away. Their Colts defense is atrocious right now. So it's like, it's just been bad. So yeah, I had to go away and say, let's put Colston Loveland in Los Angeles with Harbaugh and Herbie.
Yeah, I'll look at this mock draft DP and to keep going. Pick 16, defensive lineman Deion Walker out of Kentucky. I think this is a rather interesting pick, especially for who the Pittsburgh Steelers are, right? Like you're talking about a team and organization that has historically been run stopping first, right? And we know what Deion Walker's strength and weaknesses are. So I'll be interested to even see if he's the type of player that Pittsburgh would want. I know from a physical and athleticism profile is there, but we know they like the Cam Haywards, right? Can you two gap, right? Shoot your hands. Can you play that 4-eye? Can you lock out and hold the point of attack? That's what they care about most. And then allowing, the pass rushers like the TJ Watts and the Alex Highsmiths and the linebackers to be able to flow. So I thought that one, if I had to use one word, right, was interesting, right? I don't, because I'd be trying to figure out if he fits.
Yeah, no, he would definitely be, because I think they re-signed Cam Hayward, so he'll be definitely learning from Cam Hayward at least for a year. And then we have Keanu Benton who plays that kind of nose, 0 to 1 tech, and that guy that's going to, especially two gap in the middle of the field. And honestly, for me, I think about putting him side by side with TJ Watt. You know what I mean?
Right.
Especially on those third and longs.
Downs, yeah.
Like those third and longs, I'm putting him right there. TJ Watt's, flanking him on the outside. Now, for one, TJ Watt's probably one of the least double team, especially in 2023, one of the least double team star edge rushers compared to like Micah and Myles Garrett and stuff like that. Heck, even Alex Highsmith was double teamed more than TJ Watt was in 2023, which is crazy. But then you really can't double team him if you put Deion Walker over there. So it's like you're going to slide protection. It's going to bring some attention to that side of the field. But you're like, okay, if we take away TJ and then we leave Deion one-on-one, that's giving him a clear path to win inside and get in the face of our quarterback, and him being 6'6", 350. I don't know how much you really want that. So that, yeah, it was a pick that, you think about the upside of it, but going into that division where you got the Ravens who run the ball, Cleveland will run the ball. Cincy is interesting with their play calling. Like you want to see them run the ball more and give Joe Burrow, Joe Cool that threat of the play action more consistently with his accuracy and ball placement. But it would be an interesting fit to that kind of black and blue division that is the AFC North.
Yeah, I agree 100% with DP. Let's keep this thing going and flowing. And we on to what my favorite picks of any mock draft. Picks 21 through 32. That's the Super Bowl contenders. That's the playoff guys. Let's see how they got better. We're going to talk about that coming up next.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Guys, you've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, on this very podcast. From MVP preseason betting odds in the NFL to Heisman and college football preseason betting odds as well. Well, we have something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out of market game. All you need to take advantage of this, guys, is simple. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel at any time you like. I promise you, this is not a deal that you want to pass up. But how can you get in on this deal? I'll tell you. All you need to do is visit FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook. Just go and visit FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. Keith, a pick that stood out, for me being, amongst this meeting and everything and hearing all the talk. I thought about going to 23, and there was the New York Jets and Cam Ward. And I'm going to be honest with you, Cam Ward hasn't played the greatest competition yet. He's played better competition than some of the other guys right now in the 2025 QB class. But once he gets in the ACC play, if he keeps this level of play up from the Florida game, these 3 weeks of play, if he keeps this up through ACC play and they run that table and talking about Miami and they get to college football playoffs and he shines and does his thing, he's going to make a strong case for QB1. You know what I mean? He's going to make a strong case from going to pick 23 to the Jets to New York. If you want me, you got to come up in the top 10 and get me. And I think, but right now, have him at 23, this guy, he fits that offense. He fits the weapons that they have and the future of the position, the mobility. You give him probably a year to learn from Aaron Rodgers. And that too, to be completely honest, through 2 weeks, this offense hasn't looked outstanding. It hasn't looked great for the Jets. The Jets team hasn't looked great. Through 2 weeks.
They look like a playoff team, not a Super Bowl contender right now. I think that's the best way to describe it.
And that was the expectation. You bring in Aaron Rodgers, it's like we're going to the Super Bowl, So and it's still early, got time to get rhythm and get going. But yeah, I think, especially when you have Breece Hall and Braylon Allen in the backfield, he hand the ball off, play action, RPO game with Garrett Wilson. I do think they need to add some more receiving help to that. You got Malachi Corley, who could, figure out what his role will be going forward into 2025 and everything like that. I think this was a very interesting pick because they need to, and I think if they were to make this pick, I'll be all for it because you have to think ahead, right? Like you got to think ahead. Because you didn't think Aaron Rodgers was going to rupture his Achilles 5 minutes into the game. You know what I mean? like last year, week 1, and then you have to rely on Zach Wilson. Like you didn't think you were going to have to do that. So being able to, okay, he's not going to be Tom Brady. He's not going to play till he's 43 more than likely. And if he does play till 43, or is he playing at the high enough level to compensate him to play till 43? I don't think that's going to be the case. So you got to prepare for the future. I think Cam Ward is a great pick, and I think he has that mentality to fit that New York media, right? Because that New York media is rabid. And I think he's a mentally tough kid and young man, rather, that, okay, if I have a bad game, I see my name in the tabloids, whatever. Let's get back to it.
Don't matter. Yep.
It don't matter. Short memory.
Nah, I'm with that. I want to go all the way DP, I think, to pick 30, I believe, in the mock draft. Talk about these Baltimore Ravens. Sitting at 0-2, surprising loss this past weekend, right? Sunday to the Oakland Raiders, I believe. Well, Las Vegas Raiders, I'm sorry. Who came into Baltimore and got the win. Was there any conversation about them drafting a wide receiver here? Because the pick is Ashton Genty, running back from Boise State, which I love the pick. I like it. I have questions if they should have went wide receiver. I guess that's the best way to phrase it. Was there any conversation about them going wide receiver?
There was definitely a conversation about them going receiver. I think the receiver that initially that we thought about putting, he went right before them to 29. Elig Ayomana, the big receiver from Stanford. He went before them, 29 to the Detroit Lions. And this was before week 2 and everything when we made this mock. But with them being 0-2, like, yeah, I think the Genty pick would be great for one, right? Pairing him with Lamar Jackson, he's one of the best running backs in college football, bar none, right? Young man looks special out there, Keith. You know what he's been able to do, and he catches the ball out of the backfield. So instead of when you have Derrick Henry, you take Derrick Henry off, you bring in Justice Hill. When you have Ashton Genty, you just keep Ashton Genty on the field. You don't have to take him off and put Justice Hill on the field unless you want to go to some deuce, 22 sets and stuff like that. Have 2 running backs that can catch the ball, flank them out, go empty, get a matchup on some backers, and try to create some passing opportunities off of that. But yeah, like you don't have to sub them out. But wide receivers, and it's something that I've been pounding the table for. I wanted them to. Granted, I didn't mind them. I don't mind them drafting Nate Wiggins, who I don't think has been targeted, really much at all. Since like teams, I felt like Kansas City stayed the heck away from them. They went at crazy enough. They went at Marlon Humphrey. Gardner Minshew went at Marlon Humphrey. It's like they stayed away from the young fella. So I don't mind that pick. But man, like this, and I feel like I've been beating this drum for what the Rashad Bateman situation is not working. Like,
it's not. I mean, because you look at that draft. I believe that was the COVID draft.
It might have been.
So I think that was Joe Tua, right?
I think so.
Jordan Love, Justin Jefferson, Jerry Jeudy.
Rondale
right?
Moore was in them. I think Rondale Moore was in
you're talking about. So now at this point, DP, you're talking about wide receivers that's on their second contract, and he got another contract from Baltimore, but I don't think you can look at him as the franchise wide receivers because you had a large enough sample size. So now you're starting to get into that area where players start to have little nagging injuries, right? Because he's not, like fresh young anymore, right? And I think even when he got drafted, he was 22-ish. I want to say 22, 23, I believe. And so now you're talking about being 27, 28, right? A whole lot closer to 30. And you haven't had honestly a complete season yet, right? As far as productivity, him looking like the first round pick that you thought it would be. So you can't bank on that. And I remember watching the week 1 game against the Chiefs. And I'm like, this offensive passing attack is not like it can't sustain itself at a high level with Zay Flowers being just the lone guy out there, right?
Yeah.
Like he can be an impactful player, but he can't be the only one. And I think that's what I left with, right? Because you seen in that game, it was so many jet sweeps and orbit motions and quick screens and bubble screens and things like that. And it's like, that's cool, but that can't be the entire passing attack, right? Because you still have to have somebody that he can simply throw one-on-one, quick slant, big body guy like that Nico Collins, right? Where I could just give you a chance and you can go big and go body somebody. They have to find that type of wide receiver. I don't know if they go bring in, potential Michael Thomas or something like that, but the Baltimore Ravens drafting Ashton Jeanty, like I said, I like Ashton Jeanty. I like the pick in this scheme, right? But I think the Baltimore Ravens, and that's what we have to pay attention through the draft, is that they're going to bump up against who are we and what are we trying to be? They have an identity crisis because they still formulated this team to run the football, but they're trying to pass the football more when the strength of this team at this point is running the football, right? Like you went and got Derrick Henry. You didn't go get a big-time wide receiver. You went and got Derrick Henry. So them drafting a running back again means, hey, we're going to have to run the football.
And it was crazy. It's like, because I couldn't remember. Rashad Bateman was in that 2021 draft with Trevor Lawrence and I think Justin Fields and all of them. And that was the Amon-Ra St. Brown draft too. Amon-Ra went third round.
Okay, I thought it was the
Rashad
2020
Bateman.
Draft. It was the 2021. So he was in there with the Jamar Chase and Devontae Smith and
he was drafted, I think, 27th overall first round.
Yeah,
so
you
you're telling me you draft him first round. And you got Amon-Ra St. Brown completely out producing him. Not just like if you put the amount of catches, yards, touchdowns in Bateman's career to Amon-Ra's best season, I'm pretty sure that Amon-Ra's best season eclipses his career right now.
Yeah.
And that's just crazy to think about. So they have, like you said, Keith, identity. Yes, you want to run the ball. That's fine. I'm cool with it. You gotta get some more help in the receiving game. Whether that's going, I mean, you got Terrence Marshall Jr. I think is still a free agent as a big body X receiver type. Cortland Sutton, I think I texted, so I got Daniel Harms. Shout out to Dan. I said, man, I feel like after they lost to the Chiefs, I said they need to call up Denver Broncos and offer 4th, 5th, whatever Denver's willing to take for Cortland Sutton. Like you need to go get that big body X that can make plays at the catch point.
Yep. No, 100%. They just need to figure it out, man. They need to make a couple different phone calls. But, man, that wraps up this 2025 NFL mock draft. That wraps up another episode of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydays. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to say, man, y'all come talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube. Wherever you listen to podcasts to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout for being our everydayers. On tomorrow's show, we get into prospect spotlight, some dames, dudes after week 3 of college football. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow. The Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.